Our school, Michael Nagar Shikhaniketan, government sponsored co ed English medium higher secondary, has taken an excellent initiative in conducting online classes through YouTube channel. Even in this pandemic situation, our school did not step aback in providing and enhancing knowledge to the students. So, it's a request to the viewers, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Here we have the next portion of this chapter, acid base salt. First we will learn about pH. Okay, what is pH? We have learned that what is acid, what is base. Now if we want to measure that whether a solution is acidic or basic, then we should need help from this concept, that is pH. Okay, pH means pH is equal to the negative logarithm of H plus concentration. Okay. So, if we know the H plus concentration of the solution, then we can calculate the negative logarithm value of H plus concentration, and that is equal to pH. Okay. And we have a pH scale also, which is scientific obviously, and in the scale we have the value from 0 to 14. Okay. So, what is pH scale? Suppose this is a scale where we have the H plus concentration in terms of pH, okay, which is starting from 0 and ending with the value 14. In middle we have 7, which means that 0 to 7, actually before 7 we can consider it from 0 to 6.9, it is acidic. Okay. The value 7 indicates the solution is neutral, that means it is neither acidic nor basic. And from 7.1, from the range 7.1 to 14, we have the type basic. Okay. So, pH scale is a scale where we have the concentration of H plus values and in terms of pH. Okay, the concentration of H plus in terms of pH. So, that scale is known as pH scale, and numerically we have the value from 0 to 14, and from 0 to 6.9 it is acidic. 7 is the value which is known as neutral, that means it's neither acidic nor basic. From 7.1 to 14, the value indicates that the solution is basic in nature. Okay. And one more thing we should know, that suppose we have a solution which is A and its pH is 3. Okay. And we have another solution which is B and its pH is 4. It means solution A carries more amount of H plus ions, okay, and solution B carries less amount of H plus ion. That means it is more acidic. Okay. The solution which has the lower pH value, that means it containing more amount of H plus ion, that means the solution is more acidic. Okay. And if the pH value is increasing towards 7 or towards 14, that means it becoming basic in nature. The pH value is moving towards the right side, that means it is becoming basic. And if the pH value is towards the left hand side, that means in decreasing order, it indicates the solution is becoming acidic in nature. Okay. So, pH means nothing but the negative logarithm of H plus concentration. Next is pH scale, that means we have a scale which is used to measure the concentration of H plus ions in terms of pH, and the scale is known as pH scale. We have the range of pH from 0 to 14, and 0 to 6.9 it is acidic, from 7.1 to 14 it is basic. The value 7 indicates the solution is neutral in nature. Okay. And one more thing I if I have two solutions, solution A and solution B, suppose solution A has the lesser pH with respect to B. Here I have written solution A have the pH of 3 and solution B have the pH of 4. That means it is more basic with respect to A. That means it contains more amount of H plus ion. Where the pH value is less, there we have considered that there is more amount of H plus ion. That means the solution is more acidic in nature. And where the pH value is higher with respect to the other solution, then I can say that that solution is containing less amount of H plus ion, and that means it is less acidic. Okay. So this is our pH concept. Now depending on this concept, we have to know the story of tooth decaying and the pH measurement in cultivation and pisciculture. Okay. Now we know that we eat different kinds of foods, including the sweets, the lot of carbohydrates type of foods, and our saliva is slightly acidic. Okay, our saliva is slightly acidic due to the presence of HCl, that is hydrochloric acid. And if we eat lot of carbohydrates and other kinds of food particles, that will enter within the empty portion of our teeth, and due to the presence of HCl in our saliva, that HCl reacts with the carbohydrate, and if we do not remove the food particles, then further it will continue to react, forming CaCl2. Okay. Actually our tooth enamel contain calcium phosphate, that is Ca3PO4 2, and if excess amount of HCl is generated within our mouth, then that HCl will react with the calcium phosphate and it will form the soluble CaCl2. That means our tooth enamel will start to decay, and if it decays completely, then the soluble CaCl2 will form, which will form hole in our tooth and which is known as tooth cavity. And if we want to stop the phenomena, then we should brush our tooth regularly and with fluoride type of toothpaste, because fluoride type of toothpaste can prevent the formation of CaCl2, because it will fulfill the enamel, the tooth enamel portion, and thus preventing the tooth decay. Okay. So in this way, pH is totally related with this phenomena. Now we have another pH related story, that is how pH is important in cultivation and in pisciculture. Pisciculture means aquaculture. Okay. The cultivation of fish, shrimp and prawn, crab, all these kind of aquacultural species, the cultivation of this kind of aquacultural species is known as pisciculture. And in pisciculture and in cultivation, in both purpose, pH is very much important. How? First of all, acid rain. Acid rain has the pH less than 5.1, and if acid rain is occurred, then all the water body surrounding the land area will fill up with the water which have the pH of less than 5.1, and this pH range is really harmful for the aquatic animals. Okay. That means for the shrimp, for the fish, crab, and this is also harmful for pisciculture. So we should make the water basic for this purpose. So how can we make the water basic? We should add CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, or we can add calcium oxide, that is CaO. Adding these chemicals, we can make the water basic, but we should not make it too much basic, but it should above 5.1. the pH range should be above 5.1, so that we can easily grow this species. Now, in case of cultivation purpose, what should we do? If we have the acidic type of soil, then we should remove the top soil with another kind of soil which has the pH value higher than 5.1. Okay? And if we have, we can also do this task by adding slaked lime. Okay, slaked lime, that means CaOH whole 2, or we can also add calcium oxide too. By adding this kind of compounds, we can make it basic, or by removing the topsoil which became acidic in nature, by removing the topsoil by the soil which has the higher pH, higher than 5.1 actually, by removing the soil we can also cultivate. Okay. So, for pisciculture purpose, we need the pH range from 6.5 to 9.0, and to maintain this pH value we can add what I have told, that is we can add calcium carbonate or calcium oxide in water, and in case of soil we can add slaked lime, okay, or calcium oxide, any one, and thus we can make the land or the water, we can prepare our land or water for cultivation purpose or for fish culture. Okay. So, in this way pH is related in our life. Now, the next pH related phenomena is acid rain and stone cancer. Now, what is acid rain? We know that in our atmosphere there are several components are present, like we have nitrogen and we have oxygen too, and in presence of 3000 degree Celsius temperature almost, which is created during lightning, these two components, that is oxygen and nitrogen, they react to form nitric oxide, okay, that is NO, and this nitric oxide will react further with oxygen which is present in the atmosphere to produce nitrogen dioxide, that is NO2. Okay. And this NO2 sometimes will combine with more amount of oxygen to give N2O5, that is nitrogen pentoxide. Okay. And this nitrogen pentoxide and both the nitrogen dioxide and pentoxide, both of them can react with water to form acid. Okay. So, we can add nitrogen dioxide to water to form nitrous acid and nitric acid. Okay. And N2O5 can also react with water to form nitric acid. Nitric acid means HNO3 and HNO2 means nitrous acid. Okay. HNO2 is nitrous acid and HNO3 is nitric acid. So, now if these total reactions happen in the atmosphere, then by raining these two acids will come in the on the earth. So, in this way we can see that nitrous acid and nitric acid is formed, and together they will combine with the rain to make the rain acidic. Now, we know that we have several other gases in our atmosphere. We have carbon also in our atmosphere. So, if carbon combine with the oxygen, then it will give us carbon dioxide, we know. So, what I have told, we have carbon in our atmosphere which will combine with the oxygen to form carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide can also combine with the water to form H2CO3, which is carbonic acid. Okay. So, carbonic acid can also make the rain acidic. Now, apart from carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, we have sulfur also. Sulfur in sulfur dioxide form or in sulfur trioxide form. Sulfur trioxide means SO3. So, if SO2 or SO3 combine with water, they also can form H2SO3 as well as H2SO4. H2SO4 we know H2SO4 means sulfuric acid and H2SO3 means sulfurous acid. Okay, this is sulfurous acid. So, sulfuric acid and sulfurous acid together they can also minimize the pH value of the rain. So, in this way all these components like nitrogen, oxygen forming nitrogen dioxide and nitrogen pentoxide, we have also carbon dioxide, we have sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, and all of them are combining with water to form nitric acid, nitrous acid, carbonic acid, sulfurous acid, sulfuric acid, and all of them are ultimately mixing with water to make the water acidic in nature. That means the pH value is becoming lower and lower, and I told that when the pH value of rain becomes less than 5.1, then we can say that it is acid rain. Okay. When the pH value of rain becomes less than 5.1, then we can say it acid rain. Now, what is the related consequence we have to study here, that is stone cancer. Stone cancer means when this acid rain is coming to the earth, then they are reacted with the monuments which monuments like Taj Mahal, which is made up of calcium carbonate actually, that is marble stone. The chemical name of marble stone is calcium carbonate, and if that acids react with marble stone, it will produce calcium chloride, carbon dioxide and water. Okay. So, if calcium carbonate reacts with H2SO4, it will give us calcium sulfate, it will give us carbon dioxide and it will give us water. If it reacts with hydrochloric acid, then it will give us calcium chloride, carbon dioxide and water. That means whatever the acid we have, if it reacts with the carbonate type of salt, then it will give us finally calcium, the salt of the calcium according to the acid. If we have hydrochloric acid, the salt will be calcium chloride. If we have sulfuric acid, the salt will be calcium sulfate, and the obvious compounds are carbon dioxide and water. So, the ultimate result will be the deformation of the structure. Okay. We can what we can see actually, the brightness is gone, the luster of the marble stone is decreasing, and ultimately the deformation of the structure is happened. So, due to the acid rain, which is the consequence of our air pollution. So, due to the acid rain, the deformation of the monuments or this kind of heritage building is actually known as stone cancer. The attack from the acid is happening over the stone, okay, the marble stone. So, and they are deformed in structure. So, that is why the name is given as stone cancer. Okay. I am repeating again that as one of the consequence of our air pollution, acid rain is happening, and due to the acid rain, the monument or the heritage which is made up of stone is deformed, is getting deformed, and that is why the phenomena is known as stone cancer. And due to the stone cancer, the monuments, the heritage buildings, they are losing their shine, they are losing their brightness, they are lustrous, and ultimately they are becoming ugly actually. So, this is known as stone cancer, and obviously this is related to the pH. Okay, now the last portion of this chapter, that is neutralization, indicator and salt. Neutralization is the process. I have written that neutralization is a chemical process where what happens, H plus who are coming from an acid and OH minus those who are coming from a base, Together they combine to form a completely new material, that is a new salt and water. Okay, and the whole process is known as neutralization. Why this is known as neutralization? Because in the salt it is a complete new substance. There are no properties of the acid or no properties from the base. The salt is completely new thing, new material which is generated due to the reaction in between acid and base. Okay, so that is why this is known as neutralization, where there are no case of acid or bases, neither it is its pH is less than 7 or more than 7, it is almost 7, because this is neutral in nature. Okay, I can give you one example like this, that suppose I have an acid which is HCl and a base which is sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH, and if they combine together they will give us a complete new substance, that is NaCl. This is salt. NaCl is a salt and this is neither acidic in nature nor basic in nature. This is completely neutral, and side by side we will get water also. Okay, salt and water, and as the product is completely neutral in nature, so that is why this process is known as neutralization. Okay, so this is about neutralization. Now the next thing is indicator. This is very much related to the topic neutralization. Actually we have read at the initial portion of this chapter about indicator, but if the question comes that define indicator, then I think you should write this point, because this is the description for indicator. Okay, how we can define indicator? That it is the chemical actually which can determine the end point of the acid base reaction. Okay, or it can determine the neutralization point by changing its color. So indicator means actually it indicates the end point of the acid base reaction, because when we are reacting or when we are trying to find out the neutralization point, we know that we don't have any color for HCl and NaOH. Suppose we have taken HCl and NaOH for the purpose and we want to know that the neutralization point of this reaction, but we know that HCl is colorless also and NaOH is also colorless. They are like just water, colorless. So we need to add something which can change its color to make us understand that the reaction is completed. So in this case, if we add any indicator like phenolphthalein, we have read about 3 indicators. One was litmus paper, one was phenolphthalein, another one was methyl orange. Okay, these 3 indicators are very common actually, and phenolphthalein is normally colorless. In presence of acid it is also colorless, but in presence of base it showed slight pink color. And if we add 1 drop of phenolphthalein to the HCl solution, and then if we start to add the NaOH solution drop by drop within the medium, we can see that there will a time when the HCl will become pink in color, and at that time I can say the reaction is completed. That means all the HCl has been neutralized with the NaOH, and now my medium is containing excess amount of NaOH, and in presence of that NaOH actually phenolphthalein is showing the pink color. So I am repeating again that indicator is such a complex which can actually determine the end point or the neutralization point of a acid base reaction. Okay, and how? By changing its color. Now if I consider a very common example, suppose we have a beaker, and within this beaker I have HCl. Okay, and within this HCl I have given 2 drops of phenolphthalein. Okay, and phenolphthalein I know that it is colorless, and within acid medium it is also colorless. Now in presence of HCl and phenolphthalein I am adding NaOH solution drop by drop. Okay, NaOH solution drop wise, drop by drop I am adding. and I know that NaOH will react with the HCl, and within the medium it will start to form NaCl and water. Now after adding NaOH drop by drop, there will be a time when all the HCl will neutralize by NaOH. That means all the HCl has combined with NaOH to form salt and water, and now if I add NaOH, then it will be only NaOH within the medium, okay, because all the HCl are consumed previously by NaOH, forming NaCl and water, and after the completion of HCl, then I also adding NaOH solution, then definitely my beaker then containing only the NaOH solution, and due to the presence of NaOH, then phenolphthalein will start to change its color, and from colorless it will show a light pink color, and that formation of pink color will make us understand that the reaction is completed. All the HCl has been consumed by NaOH solution, and now the neutralization point has been come. So, to understand the neutralization point or the end point of a normal acid base reaction, we need indicator, and three examples of indicator I have mentioned: phenolphthalein, methyl orange, and litmus paper, and you should know their normal color and the color they used to show in acid medium as well as in basic medium. Okay. So, this is very important, neutralization and indicator. And now the last topic of this chapter, that is salt. What is salt? I have also mentioned here that if I add an acid to a base, it will give us a salt. Okay. And not only by acid and base, we can also get salt by reacting it with another kind of salt. Okay. Like suppose I have in the previous reaction, in case of stone cancer, I have written one reaction, there CaCO3 plus HCl forming CaCl2 and carbon dioxide and water. Now in this reaction, CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, is also a salt, and by adding HCl, what they are formed, that is calcium chloride, it is also a kind of salt. Okay, so there is no certain thing that we always have to add acid and base to produce a salt. But generally, the kind of salt we are discussing here, for the generation of that kind of salt, we need a dibasic acid. Okay, dibasic acid means actually we have monobasic acid, and we have also dibasic acid, and we have also tribasic acid. Now what do you mean by this monobasic, dibasic and tribasic? HCl is an example of monobasic acid. That means hydrochloric acid contains one hydrogen which can be replaced by a metal or a base. Okay. And in this way we can say that H2SO4 is an example of dibasic acid, because here we have two hydrogen atoms that can be replaced. Okay. And H3PO4, that is phosphoric acid, is an example of tribasic acid, because here we have three hydrogen atoms which can be replaced. So, salt means the partial or complete replacement of hydrogen atoms present in an acid. HCl, H2SO4, H3PO4, all of them are example of acids, and the hydrogen of these acids I have to replace to form a salt. Now here in this case we cannot consider the situation for HCl, because HCl is a monobasic acid and there is no way but to replace the hydrogen, because there is only one hydrogen. But I have options for H2SO4 and for H3PO4, because in these two cases I have more than one hydrogen atom. So here I can replace these two hydrogen atoms simultaneously, or I can replace only one hydrogen atom at a time. And the same thing is also applicable for H3PO4. Here I can also I can replace just one hydrogen atom, keeping the two atoms as they are, or I can replace two hydrogen atoms keeping one as it is, as intact, or I can replace all these three hydrogen atoms at a time simultaneously. So depend on these things, that what number of hydrogen atoms I am replacing here. On the basis of these things, I have three types of salt. Okay, one is acidic salt, another one is normal salt, and number 3 is basic salt. Now normal salt means where I have replaced all the hydrogen atoms. Okay, suppose if I have H2SO4, so replacing this 2 hydrogen by 2 sodium, I can get here Na2SO4, and in Na2SO4 there is no acidic hydrogen. So that is why this is a normal salt. And as well as K2SO4, where I also can get this from H2SO4, removing 2 hydrogen atoms at a time, I can get K2SO4. So they are known as normal salt. Now for acid salt, there I cannot remove all the hydrogen atoms simultaneously. Suppose if I consider the example of H2SO4, then I can remove one hydrogen atom from the acid, keeping the another one intact. Like if I write NaHSO4, which is known as sodium hydrogen sulfate. Okay, so here we have one sodium replacing one hydrogen atom, and I have kept the another hydrogen atom intact within the compound. So there is one acidic hydrogen present in the salt. So that is why the salt is known as acid salt. Okay, so when one or two hydrogen atoms are present within the salt, then the type of salt is known as acidic salt. We can also have another type of acidic salt, like H2CO3. H2CO3 means carbonic acid. Now if I prepare NaHCO3 from this acid, where I can see that there is a acidic hydrogen within the salt. So this is another example of acidic salt. Okay, and when I remove all the hydrogen atoms from the acid, forming like Na2CO3, then it will be the example of a normal salt. Okay, in this salt there is no acidic hydrogen, so this is known as normal salt. And here this NaHCO3, this is the example of acid salt. Okay, so where there is no acidic hydrogen within the salt, then the salt will be known as normal salt, and when there are acidic hydrogen present within the salt, then it is known as the acid salt. Now the last type, that is known as basic salt. Now we can basic salt, suppose we have a diacidic type of base. Here we read monobasic acid, dibasic acid, tribasic acid, depending upon the number of hydrogen atoms present in the acid. Now we have like monoacidic base or diacidic base. Okay, we have monoacidic base. Monoacidic base means where there is just one hydroxyl group in the compound, like NaOH, like KOH. Okay, they are the example of monoacidic base, where there is one OH group, one hydroxyl group. And we also have diacidic base. Diacidic base means like calcium hydroxide, CaOH2. We have two OH group. Okay, in this base we have two hydroxyl groups, and that is why it is known as diacidic. In case of acid, we tell them monobasic acid, and in case of base, we tell them diacidic type of base. And another example we have, that is magnesium hydroxide, and it also contains 2 hydroxyl groups. Now if this magnesium hydroxide is reacted with HCl, then it will form MgOHCl. Okay, that means this compound will be formed because magnesium is divalent in nature. Magnesium is divalent in nature, that means it will contain 2 components, 2 different or same kind of components. So one component will be this hydroxyl group, another component will be this chloride, that is Cl. So this is one example of the basic salt, because this is a salt but there is a hydroxyl group also. In case of acid salt, I was telling that this is a salt but there is a acidic hydrogen, and here this is a salt where there is a hydroxyl group, and that is why this is the example of basic salt. So this was the last portion of this chapter, salt, acidic salt, normal salt, basic salt. You should read from your textbook the details of this chapter, and obviously where there are definitions, you should read with examples also, examples and proper explanation, and then you can answer easily.
Subscribe. Click on the bell. Like, comment, share.